Everybody, welcome to another daily dose of worship. Today is Saturday, if you're watching this on a Saturday. Otherwise, it's whatever day it is that you're watching on. Thanks for being here. My name is Dave. Hopefully you're enjoying these daily devotions. We launch these pretty much every Saturday, every week. And then they're converted into a podcast as well called Devotions Made Easy. And you can find all of that info on my website at davepettigrew.net. Okay? So, hopefully you're having a great week. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Welcome to the weekend if you're watching this on a Saturday. It's good to just kind of take a breath, isn't it? And just kind of relax for a minute on a Saturday or a Sunday. Hopefully you're able to do that today. So today I was looking through a bit of the daily, I do these things called daily meditations. And I just post verses up on Facebook and Instagram. And I'm recording this on a Wednesday. Today's meditation was on Psalm 3, verses 3 and 4. Actually, just verse 3. It says this, You, Lord, are a shield around me, my glory, the one who lifts my head high. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that, dig into that a little bit. I've got a couple of verses, a couple of notes that I found that I kind of like. And we can give you a little bit of background on this verse. So David is the writer of this psalm. Actually, let me open up my my Bible here. I've got one of these, it's a study Bible. And actually, it's not even called a study Bible. It's called it's the MacArthur Study Bible. And a lot of times in this particular Bible, we have a lot of kind of footnotes and side notes on some of the verses. And yeah, let me start with what I found here in a couple of websites that I was digging through. So, little background on the verse, okay? We can just kind of dive into it this way, right? So David is fleeing from this massive army that was sent by his son, Absalom. It is only through the influence of an ally that this army did not rush on him in a vulnerable moment. We can look back at 2 Samuel 17, 15, and 16 if you want. So, actually, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just flip over there while we read. Hang on one second. We find maybe there's a quick footnote here. 2 Samuel, hang on. Sorry. Talk amongst yourselves. But let me just keep reading and then we can kind of dive into this. Here we go. 2 Samuel, what did I say? 17. So there was this vulnerable moment, and if I remember correctly, 15 and 16. Then Hushai said to Zadok and to Abiathar, the priest, this is what Ahithophel counseled Absalom and the elders of Israel, and this is what I have counseled. Now therefore send quickly and tell David, saying, do not spend the night at the fords of the wilderness, but by all means cross over, or else the king and all the people who are with him will be destroyed. Okay, so anyway, first of all, if you're looking for baby names, here's a couple. Hushai and Zadok and Abiathar. And then Ahithophel was the other one. And then, of course, Absalom. Anyway, so this crossing over from the west side to the east side of the Jordan River was the means of protecting David and his people from the immediate onslaught of the plan that was followed. So anyway, back to these notes, right? So prior verses indicated that many were writing David's situation off as hopeless, right? But David, as he teaches us in these Psalms, he had in the past, he successfully overcame his enemies' threats and taunts by trusting in the Lord. So Psalm 3, 1 and 2 says this, O Lord, how my adversaries have increased. Many are saying of my soul, there is no deliverance for him in God, right? So everybody's just kind of compounding this thought that there's no deliverance for David through God, through his trust and his faith in the Lord. And yet, David comes back to those allegations and he says, You are a shield around me, my glory and the one who lifts my head. And then verse 4 says, I was crying to the Lord, and with my voice, he answered me from his holy mountain. Pretty amazing, right? So if we kind of lean into what it looks like for us in our daily walk, right? We've got David, this example that David has. An army was rushing him, right? An army was kind of hot on his heels, and yet he still says, I'm going to trust in the Lord. I'm going to trust in who he is, and I'm not going to doubt him. And that is a pretty incredible example for us, right? How often do we get wrapped up in our own doubt, in our own worry, in our own fear, in our own anxiety, in our own stress? Everything that gets in the way of our relationship with God, our kind of vertical relationship with God, right? So a little further thought here on this. So he addresses the Lord as a shield around him, as his glory, right? And the lifter up of his head. How often do you say to God, you are my shield, my glory, and you lift up my head? I don't say it often enough, I don't think. Just as a shield protects a warrior from swords, arrows, darts, and spears, so David envisions the Lord protecting him from his enemies. This is the same confidence that David expressed as a youth when he confronted Goliath, right? Remember that story? Go back and look that up if you don't remember that. At that time, he called out to Goliath, you come to me with a sword and a spear and with a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hand, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hand. That's 1 Samuel 17, 45 through 47. Basically, when he was confronted with Goliath. Go check out that story. Read that whole thing. So let me just make sure. I'd love to actually give you a little reference. If it's 1 Samuel, right, 17. Go back. Yeah, so all of chapter 17. Read that whole story. Kind of a fascinating account of what happens and the escalation of David and the Lord in David's eyes, right? The Lord was David's boast. There wasn't even like a doubt in his mind that God wasn't going to show up. And yet, how often do we doubt every single day that God is or isn't going to show up? David fully expected him to restore him to his position as king of Israel. Okay, so a couple of pretty heavy questions there. Not by accident. I think it's just a reminder for us to just continually think about our relationship with God, our walk with God, our journey with God, and how do we incorporate him into our everyday walk? Do we look at him as a shield, right? Do we look at him as, what did I just say? I just flipped away from that page. But do we look at him as our glory, right? Do we look at him as the one who lifts up our head? How often do we put our heads down, right? Even the only thing I can think of right now is how often our heads are down staring at our phones, right? How often are our heads down just kind of tunnel visioned into that device that's in front of us when a lot of times our heads should just be lifted up to the heavens and saying, where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth, right? Okay, so little further notes on this, okay? So you, O Lord, are a shield for me. Though many said there was no help for him in God, David knew that God was his shield. Others, even many others, couldn't shake David's confidence in a God of love and help. Very, very important two words right there. A God of love and a God of help. Even when it feels like he's not walking with us, he's still loving us, caring for us. He's still the God of help, right? Under attack from a cunning and ruthless enemy, David needed a shield. We need shields every single day. We have a cunning and ruthless enemy that's up against us every single day, right? He knew that God was his shield. This wasn't a prayer asking God to fulfill this. This was a strong declaration of the fact, you are a shield for me. It was a declaration. It wasn't a question. It was like, hey, God, are you my shield? It was, you are a shield for me. how often do we feel that God is a shield for us? Not often enough. My glory and the one who lifts my head. God was more than David's protection, right? He also was the one who put David on higher ground, lifting his head and showing him glory. There was nothing glorious or head-lifting in David's circumstances, but there was God, right? He was literally being chased by an army. How often do we feel like we're being chased by an army? Everyone's out to get us, right? Men find, okay, here's a pretty good quote. Let me just expand on that point just a little bit, right? How often do we feel like we're being chased by an army, like someone's out to get us? Maybe it's what's going on inside of us that's causing us to think that way. Maybe it's more just taking a deep breath, letting it out, and letting God into the situation, believing that He's our shield, our protector, our glory, the one who lifts our head. Maybe that's what we need to get out of this whole little passage here, is just, if I'm in that place where I just think that everyone is out to get me, let me turn the focus away from them, away from who they are, what's going on, and shift it to the Father in heaven, who is our shield and our protector and our strength. Maybe that's the change that needs to happen in whatever the situation is in your life, right? A quote from Meyer, he says, "Men find glory in all sorts of things." Right, so this is kind of hearkening back to this second half of verse 3 that says, "My glory in the one who lifts my head." God is my glory, the one who lifts my head, right? Men find glory in all sorts of things. Fame and power and prestige and possessions, right? So many things we find glory in. David found his glory in the Lord. "O my soul, hast thou made God thy glory? Others boast in their wealth, their beauty, their position, achievements. Dost thou find in God what they find in these?" Okay, obviously a very old quote, because he says dust, which we don't use anymore. But the point is there, right? Do we find our glory in these things, in power and achievements, in beauty and wealth and position? Like, really, maybe the title of this devotion should be like search my heart or my soul, right? Because I'm that old, I've devotioned on this before, but it's, God, search my heart, search my soul, find any wickedness in me and just clean it out. Dig it out of me so that it's not there anymore. And David, he's basically saying this right here. He's like, God, you are my glory. There's no, again, I have to come back to this point. There's no doubt in his statement. You, O Lord, are a shield for me. You're my glory, and you're the one who lifts my head. And then he goes into verse 4. I cried to the Lord with my voice. It's interesting that he says this, right? I cried to the Lord with my voice. Spurgeon says this. Sorry, I'm getting wrapped up in this quote, which is pretty great. Surely silent prayers are heard. Yes, but good men often find that even in secret, they pray better aloud than they do when they utter no vocal sound, right? And David is just attesting to this right here. Surely, God, you've heard my voice, not my thoughts. He specifically says you've heard my voice. The actual chords are flapping around back there, and there's a sound being emitted from his mouth, and that sound was David crying out to the Lord, saying, you are my glory. You are the one who lifts my head. You are my shield. And he says he heard me in his holy hill, right? So that's the end of verse 4. Others said that God wanted nothing to do with David, but he could gloriously say, he heard me. Though Absalom took over Jerusalem and forced David out of the capital, David knew that it wasn't Absalom enthroned on God's holy hill. He knew that Absalom wasn't there. the Lord himself still held that ground and would hear and help David from his holy hill. It's a pretty cool little... Let me just think for a minute here. I like being able to dig a little bit. Because when I'm out walking around in the woods, I can't quite dig. So Holy Hill, okay, a couple of different, Zion in the Old Testament, the easternmost of the two hills on ancient Jerusalem. It was the site of the Jebusite city captured by David. Okay, I guess we can just say it's Zion, right? Let's see what Wikipedia says. Hang on. Nothing. Oh, it's central and okay. They just give us the physical place, which is in Kenya. Mount Sinai is renowned as the principal site of divine revelation in Jewish history, where God is purported to have appeared to Moses and given him the Ten Commandments. Okay, we could dig a little deeper in this. Yeah, Holy Hill of Zion. Anyway, maybe it's just the alliteration that I'm drawn to, but I don't want to get lost up in it, right? So wherever God is, he heard David. He heard his voice, the verbal expression of his faith. Not just thinking it, but verbally speaking it. And saying, God, you are my shield, my glory. The one whom I lift my head, the one who lifts my head. I cried out to you with my voice and you heard me from where you were. Right? So, I don't want to dig too far or get too deep into this, but I like just the thought of these two verses. Kind of just brings us back to this. God is our shield, our glory, the one who lifts our head, right? So in the midst of all of it, and I over the past week, I've been on a couple of gigs, and myself included. We've been through a lot in this last week. And I've talked to a lot of people at shows, and I myself, my family, we've had a bunch of stuff go on in the last 7 days that have just been very trying, both physically and emotionally. And it's been a pretty intense week for me, and I'm trying to just kind of exhale a little bit and just continually lean more and more into God. But maybe that's why I was drawn and led to this verse to just declare that God is a shield for me, right? God is a shield for me. He's my glory, and he is the one who lifts my head in the midst of hurt and pain and confusion and suffering and just stuff that is inexplicable. He's the one who still lifts my head. So I don't know what you're going through today. I don't know what's on your plate, where you're headed, where you've been. I don't know a lot of that. But I do know this, that our God is never going to leave us. And he loves us and he cares for us. And today he's your shield, he's your glory, and he's the one you can call on. So maybe take a minute and just kind of lean into these verses today. It's Psalm 3 and 4. And if you have a study Bible, maybe open that up and dig a little deeper into what these verses mean. Maybe go through some of the cross references and just kind of see where it leads you. Go read 1 Samuel 17, right? Read about how David really trusted God against Goliath, this giant of a man. And so, let me make sure I give you the right reference there. Hold on. So, 1 Samuel 17 is the story of David and Goliath. So maybe go check that out. Okay, thanks for being here today, guys. I just wanted to kind of scroll through this and really talk about these two little verses that are probably passed over all the time. And it's beautiful to be able to just stop and examine just two verses just for, whatever we've been together, 20 minutes or so. But I hope you got a little something out of this. Go check out Psalm 3 and 4. And hey, so just so you know who I am, I'm a Christian recording artist and a worship leader and an author based in New Jersey. We have a community that comes together every Monday night for worship, Tuesdays for podcasts, Wednesday nights for Bible studies, and Saturdays for these devotions. And then I play live worship events up and down the East Coast a lot. And so we have this community called joindavesband.com, and we come together inside there and we learn about Jesus every single day. And together we have devotions that come out every single morning. We do Bible studies, live Bible studies on Zoom on Wednesday nights. We have worship times that we come together on Monday nights. And there's just a bunch of stuff. And then we as a community, people physically get together at shows all around the Northeast and up and down the East Coast whenever we can. So if you want to join us and be a part of our community and be a part of this desperately seeking Jesus every single day, then join us. Your membership money goes straight into this ministry, and the first few dollars goes straight to helping us sponsor a child. This is little Sodam here. This is a little girl that we recently sponsored, and we only were able to sponsor her because of the people that joined our community. And so what happens is when you join, you're helping us sponsor a child and literally giving a kid food, clothing, clean water, and health care, and you're literally giving a child another chance at life. And then on top of that, you're joining a community of people that are coming together to learn more about Jesus and be a reflection of Him every single day. So if that sounds interesting to you, head over to joindavesband.com and join us. We'd love to have you with us. The balance of the money that comes in goes straight back into this ministry, helping me get from point A to point B to speak in front of people and get more people to sponsor children and save lives. We also provide nights of worship where lives are changed. People come to know Jesus through those nights of worship and just who He is and how He works in their life. And it's been absolutely amazing over the past few years to be able to do this full time. I'm a full-time musicianary, as they say, and this is all I do. And so we want you to join us so that we can keep doing it, okay? So if you love these devotions on Saturdays or whenever you watch them and you've regularly been attending and watching, then join us. Head over to joindavesband.com. This is where you're being fed, if this is what's going on, and you want to be part of our community, we'd love to have you with us. So thanks. Thank you so much for being a part of it. If you're already a member, thank you. You guys are amazing. It's been awesome to be able to continue this journey with you all. Okay, head over to joindavesband.com to get started, and head over to Psalm 3, 3, and 4 today. Check these verses out. Pretty cool stuff and pretty great little relevant lesson from David in the midst of this situation that he was in, this battle and this army chasing him. So the army's chasing you today, but you've got God beside you as your shield, and your glory, and the one you can lift your head to. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.